How's it going, guys? My name is Tavarish, and over the past few years, I've gotten the chance to build some truly amazing cars. From museum quality show cars to projects that reach #1 on YouTube's trending. Whether it's a wrecked supercar rebuild or something a little bit more attainable, my team and I certainly know how to turn a wrench. And that brings me to my main point. You see, when a car build is done on YouTube, a lot of times it's not actually finished. And for that, I've devised a standard method of testing whether a car build is complete and how good that project car build really is. So in short, I'm calling out every YouTube car builder to put their projects where their mouths are. I wrote that last line down and it sounded better in my head. That was really stupid. So let's get right into it. I'm not starting a beef with anybody. This isn't about any YouTuber in particular, and I certainly am not anyone to talk about anybody's unfinished projects. Because this isn't about unfinished projects, this is about project cars that are complete. Now, I've noticed that there's a big gap in quality between car builds on YouTube, and I want to bring that quality up for everybody, including myself. So what I've come up with is a 100-point inspection that tests mechanical quality, bodywork quality, drivability, and a few other things to give you guys a complete picture of how good a project car really is. And I call it the test. I'm not very good at names. So the test isn't just for automotive YouTubers, it's for everybody with a project car, so you can go check it out in the video description. But I'm gonna apply it to every single project car that comes in my shop from now on, so you guys can see exactly and objectively how good the car is when it leaves versus how bad it is when it gets here. But since my latest finished project car is behind me, I figured we should probably start with this. So let's begin the test. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is pretty important, and that is whether the car is legal to drive or not. Now, I know you guys might think that that's sort of trivial, but you'd be surprised at how many YouTube projects aren't actually legal to drive. So the cars need to be registered and they need to be insured. Now, the insurance part is actually a little bit more difficult than you might think, because with insurance, whenever you have a modified car, that means that you have to tell them what modifications you have. Now, not all insurance companies will accept those modifications, and not all insurance companies will pay out in case something happens to your car. But thankfully, all my cars in my shop are insured for their agreed value, which means that the insurance company knows exactly how much to pay out and exactly how much they're worth. And the way I found that insurance company is through today's sponsor, Policy Genius. So if you guys don't know what Policy Genius is, you are definitely missing out, because it's your one-stop shop for all your insurance needs. And getting started is really easy. First, head to policygenius.com/Tavarish and answer a few quick questions about yourself and your property. Policy Genius will then show you price estimates for policies that fit your needs and help you find the best options. Their team of experts will look for ways to save you more, especially when you bundle your home and auto policies. And the Policy Genius team works for you, not the insurance companies. If they find a better rate than what you're paying now, they'll switch you over for free. Policy Genius has saved customers an average of $1,250 per year over what they were paying for home and auto insurance. They also don't sell your info to third parties, and they have thousands of 5-star reviews across Google and Trustpilot. So if you want to start potentially saving right now, head to policygenius.com/Tavarish. It's in the link in the video description below to get your free home and auto insurance quote. Policy Genius. When it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. So since the car is registered and insured, and I have this amazing vanity plate, I have 5 points right off the bat. But now the real test begins, because we have to look at the bodywork. Now, I should probably explain to you what the point scoring is. Now, on each of these subcategories, it's a 5-point system. And if you give it a 5, that means perfect, it needs no repairs. 4 is very good, slight imperfections, but needs no significant repairs. A 3 is acceptable, may need slight repairs, but it's usable. 2 is marginally serviceable. I mean, this is one sneeze away from falling apart, and it will need significant repair in the near future. And one is unacceptable. One is it needs major repair immediately, and components are missing and or broken. Now, the bodywork on any project car is super important because that's the first thing people see. But something that you might not know is that when you look at it through a camera lens, it hides a lot of crimes. Now, this car is very, very dirty because I've been using it every day, and it probably looks okay to you, but I mean, it's real dirty. Just take my word for it. Now, I have my phone here so I can actually look at what the criteria is for the test. And I am gonna use the honor system, and I think everybody out there using this should use the honor system. We're not here to cheat anybody. We're just gonna be as honest as possible and give our best assessments of our own project cars so we can have better project cars in general. Now, the first subcategory is bodywork quality. And what we're looking for is the bodywork free of any pinholes, waviness, and scratches? And are the panel gaps to factory spec or better? The person that did all the bodywork on this car was my friend Jack, and he is an expert in bodywork, and I have him to thank because I wouldn't know what to do. This was all messed up since I started with a car that had 90,000 miles and it had an accident. This was messed up, the roof was messed up. We had to add on these fender flares, and we had to do quite a lot of body modification to this car. As far as I can tell, there's no sand scratches, there's no pinholes anywhere, and there was a skim of Bondo here on the roof and on the quarter panels and elsewhere on the car, but we don't have any of that. And in addition, we took a lot of care with these gaps. So we have flush here, we have uniform gaps here, we have uniform gaps on the hood. And I don't know if you know this, but Dodge gaps aren't the best. So we had to take a lot of time to get these right. Now, next up is the metal work quality. And what we're looking for there is, were factory methods used to attach the metal? And is the car's unibody or frame safe? I can't tell you how many times I've seen somebody attach a piece of metal and not account for structural rigidity, tensile strength, how the structure of the car is affected safety-wise, and whether or not that metal was treated properly before and after it was attached. So what we did on this car is we replaced this entire piece because that's what the car needed to attach to this fender flare in an OEM fashion. I mean, we could have just drilled holes and put some double-sided tape and that would have been fine, but we actually took the factory metal from the Redeye Dodge Charger that I had, and we attached it and flanged it and did everything necessary to have an OEM repair. Now, whether the car's unibody is safe, that's up to interpretation, but we haven't changed anything on it. We actually just installed all the OEM subframes and they bolted right on, so we didn't change anything there. And I can very confidently say that we earned 5 points on that. And now we come to what detailers like to look at as the moneymaker, and that is paint quality. What we're looking for there is the paint free of noticeable dirt nibs, uneven color, fisheyes, excessive orange peel, flaking, bubbling, or dry spots? This car's paint work is nearly flawless. And I say nearly because no paint job is perfect, but there are a few spots that need to be color sanded and we just didn't get to it in time. And I wanted to show you guys this part in particular because it's this fender that has a little bit more orange peel than I'd want. You probably don't see it on camera, and this is why I'm doing this, because you can't see this stuff on camera, but this has a little bit more orange peel than the rest of the car. But we don't have any solvent pop, we don't have any fisheyes anywhere on the car, we don't have any noticeable dirt nibs that we need to take care of, but we do have some orange peel here and a few other places in the car that do need to be color sanded. So I'm not gonna give myself a perfect score there. I'd say it's between a 3 and a 4. I would go more towards 4 because I don't think we need any slight repairs right now. This is totally usable. Nobody's gonna notice it except for me and now all of you, but you guys won't say anything, right? You better not say anything. And the last part of our bodywork section is the finish work. And you'd be surprised, but finish work takes 80% of the time. So what we're looking for there is, were the factory methods used to finish the body and paint, which means color sanding, cavity wax, paint off-gassing, and the panel and interior completeness. And what I mean by that is, Is the interior there? Are there airbags missing? Are there clips missing? And on this car, we obviously made everything as factory approved as possible, but I was a little bit impatient and I didn't really wait for the paint to off-gas all that much. Now, we didn't put any PPF or anything like that on the car. We did go out and drive it a bit, and when we drove it, I did this. And what happened after that was, well, now I have some nice chips in the paint back here from rocks and tire debris, and it was mostly tire debris, and there's a lot of tire back here, and it actually still smells like tire back here. I'm gonna be a little bit hard on myself, and this is probably a 4, but I'm gonna give myself a 3 just because I probably shouldn't have done such a huge burnout and wrecked some of the paint back here. But honestly, I don't care. It's a Hellcat, that's what they're for. Now comes my favorite part, which is the mechanical section. And the first one is general operation. Does the engine run, idle, and rev cleanly? And does the transmission go into gear reliably and smoothly? And are all temperatures and pressures stable when running? Let's find out. Ooh, now it's not 100% cold start here. No weird noises, no abnormal vibrations. That never gets old, if you guys are wondering. Never gets old. Temperatures and pressures, take my word for it, they're pretty stable. So we'll get 5 points for that, but now comes the visual inspection, and what we're looking for here is, are the mechanical components free of fluid leaks? Are all hoses, belts, gaskets, seals, bushings, tires, and brakes in good condition? And considering that we started with a car that had less than 4,000 miles on it, this is all in good shape. Everything here looks nearly new, if not completely brand new. I got new tires for it. The brakes are in amazing condition, and everything is where it should be. And I didn't delete anything. Everything is exactly how it came from the factory. So this gets a 5. But the next one is something that I know for a fact that a lot of people skip, and this is components torqued to spec. I am not a super big stickler on everything needing to be torqued to spec all the time. And what I mean by that is that every bolt and every nut on the car has to have a certain tightness. And that tightness is measured in foot-pounds, inch-pounds, or Newton meters. And what a lot of people don't do is they don't torque critical components to specifications laid out by the manufacturers. We're talking about engine internals if the engine has been taken apart. We're talking about subframes, front and back. These subframes have been torqued to spec. The mounts, the wheels, the brakes, the suspension. So everything that keep the car together essentially and keep it on the road and keep it from falling apart need to be in a specific torque and a specific sequence. So everything was done on this. I made sure of it. Front and rear subframes, we have all the suspension that was torqued to spec, the brakes and the wheels. This gets a 5 out of 5. So now comes the real moment of truth, because yeah, you can have a project that has a good running engine and good paint work and everything's torqued to spec, but when you drive it, it can still fall apart. So now comes the drivability section, and this is what separates the actual true done project cars from the ones that just sit. And believe me, I have a lot of ones that sit, so I know what I'm talking about. So the number one thing that we're looking for is the gauge cluster free of any warning lights? Are all temperatures and pressures stable while driving? We're gonna look at if the car is free of any unintended noises caused by driving. So this could be just some noise, vibration, and harshness in the cabin. Maybe some interior pieces aren't really put together very well. Is the performance of the car at an OEM level or better for the given platform? Now, I know that a lot of people do engine swaps, so we're talking about the platform, maybe the powertrain. Is the car as expected performance-wise? Is the suspension aligned accurately? And when I say accurately, I don't mean like a string alignment. I mean you actually put it on a machine to measure toe, camber, caster, thrust angle, that sort of thing. And we're gonna find all of this out with the final criteria, which is driving the car 1,000 miles. And what we're looking for there is, can the car drive 1,000 miles or more without any warning lights, mechanical faults, or electrical issues? So let's get to that. All right, everyone. So it is exactly 8:09 a.m. on a Sunday, but I am here right in front of my shop, and I am about to head to the tail of the Dragon, which is around 500 miles away. Now I have to make it there, drive the Dragon, and then come back for a 1,000-mile trip. It's probably going to be a little bit more than 1,000 miles. But if we take a look over here, I'm starting with 4,392 miles, and we want to end with a little bit more than 5,392 miles. I feel really good. This car doesn't have any check engine lights, no warning lights whatsoever, but I did bring a scanner just in case something pops up, and I didn't bring any tools. So if something actually does happen, I'm screwed. So let's get on the road. So welcome everyone to what is the start of one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic, curvy roads in America. This road is called Tail of the Dragon. If you guys don't know, it is 11 miles and 219 curves. So obviously I want to take something that is the bones of a rental car with 800 horsepower and 305 wide tires all around. So that should be nice and sketchy. Now, I've never driven this, but this is the back way of the Tail of the Dragon. Usually people go from the North Carolina side to the Tennessee side, but I'm going the other way. So right now, we should have a nice uphill section, and then there should be some really, really nice twisties to see if my suspension and my drivetrain, and honestly, if the car is just put together right. And that's a good sign. Motorcycles, high crash area. Good thing we're not a motorcycle. Oh yeah, next 11 miles, nothing but curves. Now I have this car in custom mode, which means that the powertrain is in full attack mode, but I have some pliability in the transmission and suspension and steering, which means that on a road like this, where I'm not too familiar with it, they can let me get away with quite a bit. The power delivery on this car is absolutely spectacular. And what American car companies do, especially Dodge, is they don't really put a ton of effort into chassis tuning, but what they do is they give it a ton of mechanical grip. So those 305 tires, you can just load them up and they will reward you tenfold. All right, and the brakes. Oh, you know, I was worried about having not enough brakes up here, but honestly, I think those big 6-piston Brembos in the front, 4-piston rear are exactly what I needed. Now you can hear all my water bottles and stuff just flying around in the back of the car. So that should give you an idea of the kind of G-forces we're pulling here. Now I also wanted a front view of the dash so you can see that I truly don't have any check engine lights, any warning lights, and the car is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Now, I am not on race pace, I am not familiar with this road, and I am not a racing driver, but this is exactly what I want from this car. Just something that you can storm around, oh yeah, the weekend in, make that kind of noise. Oh my gosh. All right, tell you what, this is actually impressive. This is extremely impressive. For a 4,600-pound car to do this and sound like this and perform this well. Especially one that I built in my garage with the help of a few good friends. I could not ask for more. This road though, Oh yeah. Now with this challenge that I'm issuing to other YouTubers, it's not calling out because I think their work is subpar. No, I think it's because we can make all builds better. We can make sure all of our cars do things exactly like this. And when a rebuild is actually rebuilt, it can do everything the stock car can do, and then some. I don't know if the designers of this car ever intended for this car to do this, but man, is it good at it. And just in case any of you were doubting where I was, right here, I don't know if you can see this, it says Tail of the Dragon right there. And we have the motorcycle resort of Deals Gap. And I think this car has earned itself a full tank of gas, because we are about to go straight home. All right, we are back at the shop after the drive, and actually this is a while later because let me show you something. So if we take a look at how many miles there are here, all right, 7,271 miles. That is, yeah, it's a little more than I bargained for, but I've been driving this, and as you can see, no warning lights whatsoever. So that gets a pass. 5 out of 5. Well, that was 5 out of 5. And now is the final criteria that we're going to be judging, and that is purpose. And purpose is very, very important in a project car, because how else are you going to determine whether the car is actually doing what you set out to do in the first place? Now, I wanted this to be a very clean example of what a Hellcat Redeye could be, and I think we hit the nail right on the head. I think this gets a 20 out of 20, and this is a pass or fail on the purpose portion, because if you say that you're gonna make some crazy like hypercar or drag car or drift car, and it doesn't end up doing that, then it doesn't fulfill its purpose. But this definitely did. I know that there's a few cars in my shop that definitely don't, and we'll be going over those later. But that means that this car gets a 97 out of a possible 100, which is very, very, very good, considering that we started with a car that had 90,000 miles, it had some body damage, it smelled horrible on the inside, and it didn't run very well. I am super proud of what my team and I have accomplished, and I can't wait to do more on this. But you guys can check out the test in the link in the description below. You can print it out and you can judge your own project cars, and I urge every YouTuber, every car YouTuber that does project cars like this to do the test on their own and see how they stack up, because I'm curious. So that's going to be it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. We have a lot coming up. We got the McLaren, we got a Supra, we got Ferrari, we got lots of other stuff that I haven't talked to anybody about, but you guys should be excited for that, just as I am. So until next time, this is me reminding you guys that on cars like this, you can just see the roof here. On cars like that, you need to build them better, and to do that, you should wrench every day.